వందే శంభుముమాపతిం సురగురుం వందే జగత్కారణం వందే పన్నగభూషణం శశిధరం వందే పశూనాం పతిం వందే సూర్య శశాంకవన్నినయనం వందే ముకుంద ప్రియం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే భక్తజన ఆశ్రయం చ వరదం వందే శివం శంకరం. Friends, there are certain sentences which are very popular and they are all delivered by Swami Vivekananda. The one most important sentence that he has spoken is, "Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached." This exhorting statement, motivating statement, awakening statement, rousing statement, I think is made by Swami Vivekananda from that single rock at Kanyakumari when he looked at motherland in weakness, especially Indians as slaves of the West. He shouted, "My dear Indians, my dear fellow human beings, there is no reason for you to be weak and feeble. You have to be up and doing. Wake up, arise, awake, keep awake. Stop not till the goal is reached. Be yogis. Maintain that yogic bent of mind. Be the beacon light to the entire world." I find Swami Vivekananda even now standing on that solitary rock at Kanyakumari, looking at the fellow Indians, shouting at them, giving the rousing call to them, making the lions roar to wake up and keep awake. Now we find his exhortation coming to be real. People are getting up. People are able to understand the grandeur of motherland. People are able to understand the yogic spirit of the motherland, and people are now awake to be yogic. May we now see the other next sentence, which is very popular. "Him I call a Mahatma whose heart bleeds for the poor." When did he say it? Where did he say it? Why did he say it? How did he say it? A parallel sentence also we find. "Him I call a Duratma. Him I call a traitor. Him I call a Drohi. Him I call a scoundrel, who having been educated at the cost of millions and millions of poor people does not think of them, does not live for them, does not love them." These two wonderful sentences, "Him I call a Mahatma" and "Him I call a Duratma." When did he say? When did Yogi Vivekananda say? On the 11th of September 1893, Swami Vivekananda looked at the huge gathering. He was a man of purity. Purity is power. And then he is a man of love. All-embracing love. Love is very powerful. Purity with love is greater power. When that purity and love are mixed with, multiplied with, embellished with spirituality, it is supreme power. When he was at the Parliament of Religions, when he was looking at the audience, all the three were at their best. His purity was at the best. His love of humanity was at its best. And finally, his spiritual sublimity was at its best. When all the three got united, when he expressed that triple unity in the world's sisters and brothers of America, there was applause. There was recognition. People fell at his feet. There was admiration, not because of anything but because of his purity, love, and spiritual sublimity. The collective consciousness of this country found expression in his voice, in his looks, in his personality, in his purity, in his love, and in his spirituality. People came, they clapped for several minutes. It took a long time for them to become silent. That moment, that very day, he became very popular. He became a messiah. He became a prophet. And he became a global personality reflecting the Bharatiyata of purity, of love, of hospitality, and of the spiritual serenity. That day, he went back to his apartment in the night for rest. All the newspapers highlighted his speech. The great people of Chicago rushed to see him, congratulate him, thank him, glorify him, shower encomiums on him. The business magnates, the political men in power, and all the senior citizens, all reputed individuals went to his room to thank him, to praise him. They never went with empty hands. They took gifts with them. And they took various delicacies for him to eat. Food was given to him. Delicious food was brought by them. And people started showering wonderful appreciation on him. All the visitors were there in his room till about 11 o'clock. Whole day, Vivekananda was tired. The previous day, he was an unknown monk. That very day, the great Mother Bharat elevated him to the heights. He was hungry. He was tired. He was exhausted. He wanted food. He wanted rest. He waited for the people to quit his room. At about 11 o'clock in the night, after everybody left, he found the food inviting. He found the gifts attractive. Any person in the place of Vivekananda would have rushed to the food and would have eaten like a glutton, would have rested, would have slept comfortably. But Swami Vivekananda is an ordinary person. He is a yogi of purity, a yogi of humanism, and a yogi of spiritual fervor. He looked at the food, he looked at the gifts, he did not touch them. He rolled on the floor, wept profusely, and remembered the fellow human beings in India, his brethren in India. If all my people are suffering, what right do I have to enjoy these pleasures? When my fellow human beings in India do not have food to eat, when my brothers and sisters in India are in the clutches of poverty without a shelter over their head, when all my friends in India do not have the comforts and luxuries offered to me here, what right do I have to enjoy? Then, in that night, according to me, Swami Vivekananda composed a powerful sentence, a beautiful sentence, and that is, him I call a Mahatma whose heart bleeds for the poor. It's not enough if you sympathize. You should have empathy for the people. Feel for the people who are downtrodden. Feel for the people who are ignorant. Feel for the people who are less placed in life. Feel for the beggars. Feel for the ignorant. It is not mere feeling. It is to weep for them. That night, amidst his success, amidst his triumphant address, amidst so many gifts and food available in the room, the person, the yogic Vivekananda, could not eat, could not sleep, could not be happy because his fellow human beings in India are suffering. He rolled on the floor and he wept, making the wonderful statement, him I call a Mahatma whose heart bleeds for the poor. We find proof of it later. Mahatma Gandhi went to Madurai to address a gathering. The people in and around Madurai assembled to see Gandhiji and to receive him and listen to him. They were all so poor, they did not have the upper garment. In the scorching sun, with the tanned bodies, they were all waiting for the Mahatma. That day was a turning point in the life of Mahatma Gandhi. Till then he was not Mahatma. Look at the ocean of humanity. There were very many people without a shirt, without a shawl, without an upper garment. Looking at all those people, when so many of my country do not have the clothing to cover their body, what right do I have to enjoy the clothing? That day, it is reported that the great Gandhiji has removed his shirt. From then onwards, since then onwards, he did not wear the upper garment. Swami Vivekananda's follower is Mahatma Gandhi. In simplicity, in austerity, in penance, in yogic excellence, and in humanism, him I call a Mahatma whose heart bleeds for the poor. A yogi is a Mahatma. A yogi is a Mahatma because he or she loves humanity, mankind. When a neighbor does not eat, what right do I have to eat? When the people on the platform do not have food to eat, what right do I have sitting in the AC first class to sit and enjoy the pleasure of food? Swami Vivekananda is a yogi. He is a yogi of humanism. He was able to see God in everyone. He was able to feel that humanism working on him all the time. And therefore, according to me, Swami Vivekananda made that wonderful statement on that day when he became great. In that night, 11th of September 1893, he made that statement, him I call a Mahatma whose heart bleeds for the poor. Next, parallel to it, he makes another statement, him I call a Duratma, him I call a traitor, him I call a Drohi scoundrel, who having been educated at the cost of millions and millions of poor people, It is with the taxpayers' money we sit in AC halls. It is with the taxpayers' money we are seated in the universities. It is with the taxpayers' money we travel by the cars. It is with the taxpayers' money we fly in the aircrafts. It is with the taxpayers' money we enjoy the luxury of buildings. What is it that we give in return to them? Their labor is behind every pleasure of ours. Is it not a cruelty? Are we really grateful to them? And therefore, a Duratma is a person who is ungrateful to the poor people. When the food comes to me in the plate, how many people have put in their efforts? The agriculturist sows the seeds, makes the harvest, brings the rice, and that is brought to my table by the transporters. By the cooks it is prepared, and the delicacies are served on my table. I enjoy the food. I eat that food. I sit in the luxurious palaces. Am I grateful to them? There is nothing wrong in rising to the top. There is nothing wrong in becoming a great scholar. There is nothing wrong in becoming a great yogi. But we should not forget the people who are responsible for my rise. We should not forget the people who have put in the labor for my pleasure. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda, on the 11th of September, remembered the people who were responsible for his triumph, for his success. It is the collective labor of all the Indians. It is the collective consciousness of the Indian Ocean of people, that he became triumphant. And therefore, gratefulness is essential. He is very unhappy with the people, rich people, popular people, happy people, luxurious people, because they are not able to show that gratefulness in service to the mankind. He therefore makes this statement, him I call a Duratma. Him I call a traitor or drohi, who having been educated at the cost of millions and millions of poor people does not think of them, does not serve them. Swami Vivekananda is Yogi Vivekananda. He is a Mahatma. He is never a Duratma. He is out and out a humanist. He is out and out a loving humanist. He has dedicated his all for the welfare of mankind. He also makes the statement, they alone live who live for the welfare of others. The others are more dead than alive. Let us try to understand the yogic spirit of Swami Vivekananda. Let us try to follow the footprints of Swami Vivekananda. Let us be humanists first. Let us be grateful to our fellow human beings first. Let us try to do something for the benefit of the mankind. Om Namah Shriyati Rajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine.